Hello, welcome back to the Tattoo Collecting Podcast.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
This is episode number 4, is it, Fawn?
It should be episode number 6.
I know, I did a bad thing. So, in building this studio, I have overcome some technical difficulties time and time again. And so, my last
Hold on,
my
let's rewind. So we were smoking the other morning, and I was like, why don't you just use your living room as the studio? You don't use your house conventionally, so, like, why have a conventional living room? So now the studio has become 3 times as big and much more comfortable.
Yep, moving it down to the living room was the right idea. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I don't know. You always have those little nuggets, though. You're always like, why don't you just move that over there or do that over there? I'm like, I don't know why I didn't think of that.
I try to be utilitarian about
But like,
things.
I don't use my living room anyway. It's just kind of like there if I do have company, and I'm usually in the studio anyway.
So now it's like a studio with a couch. We've still got our like professional business area and the couch.
Yep. So it's nice and chill. Lots of open space. So all in all, what we were saying with the episodes, we had episode 4 and 5 ready. I was going to edit them, but I saved everything to a hard drive, and I had to, I had to move everything over from a hard drive to an SSD on my computer, and in that, I deleted everything. And so, with that went episode 4 and 5. Everything else that was totally rendered and done, kept those. So I still have access to episodes 1 through 3 in every way, but the other ones, not with Blade and not with Ben. We had 2 good 2-hour episodes for you guys.
We had Blade. He was awesome. He's an amazing collector. We shared his pictures on Instagram. We'll have him back in. We'll definitely be able to talk with Blade often. And then we had our buddy Ben, Ben Thomas. He is also a collector, not a tattooer. But he's like, I'm not going to say he's like, he doesn't like it when I call it a bodysuit because he's got like little gaps and spaces, but he's tattooed from head to foot, literally. So.
Yeah, so we went over their bodysuits and their journeys of tattooing. We talked about AFTERCARE with Ben, which is something we would like to get into today. Just give you guys a good rundown of our perspective on AFTERCARE and what we think about that.
The hows, the whys, the why nots.
Right, the what we used to do to what we do now. So the wisdom, the knowledge gained through experience, which is most important.
Yeah, both as a tattooers,
our tried and true
as
methods.
Like collecting, what is really effective as a collector, like the best ways for me to heal different areas.
So as
versus the things recommended.
So as collectors and as artists, we have the the nice perspective of seeing how they heal in our body, knowing our bodies and what it takes for them to heal on our bodies, and then also what what we've seen heal with our clients and what works for clients and what works for such a huge different number of clients. And so, I mean, after tattooing so many years, you just realize what works and what doesn't, and what are the tried and true methods.
Yep. A lot of it's hype,
and
but
usually,
a lot of it isn't.
Usually it's simple as best. Like we were talking about that earlier.
Also, we're going to get into adhesive bandages. I don't want to, use one specific brand as the example, but it's kind of like with tissues, a lot of people call them Kleenex just because, like, that's what you call them. Is Kleenex a brand? Yes. So we're going to be talking about adhesive wraps later on, and the generic, I guess, term or brand in the industry that everybody uses is the go-to is Saniderm typically or Tegaderm. So when we talk about Saniderm, we're actually encompassing all of the adhesive bandage products. So we'll probably use that name the most, but we're not talking specifically about that product. We're encompassing all of those adhesive brands when we get that far along.
Right, and we'll touch on also different products that are like that. But Saniderm's a good reference point to most of it. So, I guess
I just want to be clear that that's not like the only go-to. It just happens to be like even the True Tubes brand that we've got at the warehouse, we call it the True Tube Saniderm. Like, so I mean, even it's just like tissues and Kleenex for us at this point. So when we get to that point, I just want to be
sanitary dermal care.
Yes. And then when we start talking about like specific aftercare ointments and things like that, some of them are just ones that we've tried. Some of them, we know the ingredients too and things like that. But we're not specifically plugging or knocking any of these
Nope.
products.
We
We're
just
just
want to tell you
going
what works.
straight out of our experience. Um, yeah,
Works for us.
some brands are awesome for different applications, but a lot of times it doesn't have to do with what brand it is. More than like what it's made out of and what your body requires. So, um, but yeah, that's my. Before we get into aftercare and things like that, I just want to. We're not specifically plugging any brands whatsoever. Not deliberately.
Yeah.
We just want to be honest and truthful about what works and what doesn't under different circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's get into how this conversation started earlier, Jordan.
What part of it?
Well, we were sitting here. We were sitting here smoking and talking about things that we've got going on and improvements we're making with what we're doing and this, that, and the other, and just general stony talk. And we jumped down the rabbit hole of some different aftercare products we've been talking about at the shop. But amongst artists as ourselves, and as we were talking, we started getting into what we liked and didn't like. It's like, oh man, we need to record this. This is the talk we need for our aftercare.
Yeah,
somebody
I guess
accidentally
we've been
deleted
talking about
it.
products for the past 10 minutes. I think that was something that we did. We began the conversation
Yeah.
with was talking about how there's a lot of different products that do a lot of different things, and a lot of those products they really are really good. But there's also a level of simple is best. If you find what you like, keep using that. I mean, there's always going to be a different product that says it does a different thing, and you
Yep.
know.
And every product is kind of intended to be used a little bit differently.
Mm-hmm.
So
But yeah, there's a lot of options out there.
so I've been tattooing for almost 12 years now. How long have you been tattooing, Jordan?
We're close to 7 or 8.
7 or 8. Okay, so you're close to 10. Like, you know, around the 10-year mark, you've seen a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You've done a lot of things. You've experimented a lot with a lot of stuff.
I still feel like a baby, but I've been in it for a little bit.
So let's talk about like the first few years of tattooing when you used to have a super specific regimen. Like, what did you tell people to heal and why? And then tell us, like, we'll get into like how you do things now, like how you've learned over the years, like how your approach to aftercare was in the beginning versus how it's evolved.
Yeah, well, I would say definitely in my, years and years ago, I would change from so many different things, and I would be, there were years of just going back and forth from one product to another product because I would get thrown from one company to another company. So all of a sudden, the new best aftercare stuff would come out and be like, oh, my tattoos are going to heal up much better if I use that, or have my clients use that, so I would carry that or give that to the client. But I would just be all over the place. I think my original aftercare spiel for people would be, shoot, going brain dead.
It's okay. We've smoked a lot. We're on blunt number 3 today. So let's say year 2. I walk in. I get tattooed by you. I get like a sick Slipknot tribal on my outer forearm. All black with a red glow behind it. It took us 3 hours to do. How would you tell me to take care of it? 2 years in. This is 2 years in Jordan advice.
2 years into my tattoo.
Yeah. That's why I came to you for this sick.
So 2 years into my
Slipknot
tattoo.
tribal
That was
tattoo.
before I even learned about
This is all hypothetical.
This is before I
don't have
even
that.
learned about my Sanoderm. I would have told you to wash your tattoo every 2 hours, no matter what.
Wash it every 2 hours. Okay.
Right. If you don't, you're gonna die, and I will find you, and I will kill you.
Okay.
So you have to wash your tattoo every 2 hours. I was very strict about it. Every 2 to 3 hours, whatever. That's a normal thing, but also to be like to every 2 hours is a little.
It's a little excessive.
It's
gonna
a
dry it
little
out.
excessive.
Yeah.
Basically, I mean, a lot of the same things I would be saying now. I mean, it would just keep it moisturized and stuff. It wouldn't be too far off the beaten path of what it would be now. I would just be a lot more concerned about it. I would, I sometimes would check up with them, or I would, I would have different kinds of healings. A lot of it back then would fall on my own confidence and wanting to have something heal consistently and stuff, and so I would make sure that they did the same exact thing all the time. But
So what'd you recommend in your like early days of tattooing? What was your preferred? Like what lotion or ointment did you recommend? Was there a specific go-to
oh,
or a specific technique?
back then it was A&D and Aquaphor
You
for
actually
sure.
recommended A&D.
Back in the day.
Okay.
My
Well, that's
first
what I'm asking.
first
That's why I'm
2 years,
asking.
yeah,
That's
like
why I'm asking. We're
yeah.
rewinding. Like,
But then
we're
but then it
rewinding.
went
This
to
is-
like, and then it went to like tattoo goo, and then it went to just, go buy your own hustle butter or go get, these nice fine products. But that developed after years of finding, different products. But that's how I was saying I started just going all over the place with different products.
Yep.
Would be I'd find one and then go to that, and then I'd find another and go to that, and then I'd tell my client to go to this, and so I was just kind of going all over the place with it. And
Do you find that you have had better luck with products like Aquaphor or with products like shea butter or cocoa butter or any of the list of natural butters? What do you think you've had better luck with for your clients?
oh, personally, I mean the shea butters are or cocoa butters.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree. Those are what I have the best luck
is there a
with.
difference between shea and cocoa butter, or is it the same thing?
So cocoa butter actually comes from like cocoa, like chocolate. That's why it smells like white chocolate when you open the jar. So it's super
Hustle
natural.
butter's cocoa butter, right? Or is that shea butter?
Hustle butter is cocoa butter, shea butter, and mango. So mango is kind of a natural ingredient in some of the body butters because it's an anti-inflammatory. So it'll actually like reduce some of the redness and irritation, and it smells really good. So it's like no artificial fragrances, but it smells really, really nice. One of the reasons I like shea butter so much, I read once that the fatty acids produced by the shea nut most closely simulate the fatty acids produced by our own skin. So when you introduce that into broken or injured skin, you're chemically telling the body to start healing and repairing this area. So for me, when I learned that, that's where it was like, well, everything that we use on the skin should have shea butter in it. And I started I started like seeking out products that were either 100% shea butter or shea butter based to use as like my glide when I was tattooing. So for years, I just kind of went back and forth between shea butter and cocoa butter, and sometimes I'd like mix the two together in my own concoctions to use as glides. But even also experimenting with like aftercare on myself and with some of my clients, like I just feel like those natural like 2 or 3 ingredient aftercares are the best. Like I feel like even if it's all natural, if it's got like 12 or 14 ingredients in it, a lot of those things you could potentially be allergic to. Like, for instance, some people are allergic to lavender. For instance, some people are allergic to chamomile. And you see those in a lot of aftercare products. And, like, they are soothing and they do have beneficial properties. However, you're putting it into open skin. And is it necessary or is it extra?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I just find that, like, the most natural one ingredient butters are usually the best. Some you've got to apply more often than others because your body just kind of drinks the moisture up. But shea butter's probably my favorite. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean shea butter. I was thinking shea butter and cocoa butter were the same thing, but definitely like those butter products. Like I love shea butter is usually what I've always gone to, and so I've used that as my reference point of that.
Nice. Good.
I tell people get shea butter. If you want, that's what I would prefer to use. But also just literally, unscented lotions. If you just want something simple that you can have for a long time, make sure you're never, you don't want to be pulling out of tubs. You want to be like something that can come out of something, because if you're pulling out of tubs, your chances of cross contamination and you thinking, I don't know, the average person doesn't know a ton about cross contamination, and I don't think without me having to explain all that to them, they're going to know that right away, and they're going to keep putting their dirty hands into a tub of cocoa butter or a tub of whatever it's going to be.
Yeah.
And so, I usually try to tell people, if you're going to do that, make sure your hands are clean, because usually the butters come in something like that. But you can get lotions that have that in it as well, but they're, going to be a little bit more thinned down. And it just doesn't last as long.
Yeah.
But it's something I've had the same bottle of lotion for my tattoos for the past like 2 years. I'll get a new one, I'll get a new one, but like it just you never run out of it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, if you're using it right, a little dabble do.
And if
it'll
you're
last
using
forever.
it with a pump and stuff, it doesn't really go bad.
Yeah.
So.
Mm-hmm. You know, a really good lotion that you can pick up anywhere that I found that I really, really like on fresh tattoos is Burt's Bees. It's just like a body butter and a pump, but like I know Burt's Beeswax is like a big brand and they have like all kinds of ingredients in their things, but very soothing. Like for a store-bought lotion, like I was really impressed. I've used it as like,
That
in
sounds
the
like one that
wintertime
would
I
be
use
really
that as my
good.
all-over moisturizer, but
I love Burt's Bees.
yeah, but that one feels really nice, and it's like $10 for a pump bottle. I've had the same one for probably 3 years. Just to jump down that rabbit hole, that stuff feels great.
I know
on fresh tattoos.
Hustle Butter has. I don't mean to plug them, but Hustle Butter's got beeswax in it. I'm pretty sure, as well. I think there's a few different brands
it may
that use
now. It may
use some
now.
of
I
it.
can't remember. It's been a long time since I've jumped down like the specific ingredients of all the.
Yeah,
all
I could
the
be
different
wrong. Don't quote me on
aftercares.
that. Don't quote me on that. But I know there's some aftercare brands that do use that. It's
Yeah.
not like pure.
Yeah.
But when you break it down with other things, then
Well, and
becomes a
there-
lot more
It depends on who you
lot
ask. Like,
softer.
some people say that beeswax really doesn't have, you know, benefits. Some people say that it does. So that's where, it kind of depends on your skin type, what your body's going to react to the best. I've got some
I
clients.
think it might help hold moisture for a little bit longer, but at the same time, it's just adding in more things.
Yeah.
I love beeswax, so also any chance to put beeswax on me, I don't really mind. You can just coat me in honey. I'm cool with it.
Fair. Fair. Yeah, coated you in honey, Jordan.
Sorry to put
Beeswax
that. Sorry to
everywhere.
put that image in your head.
And it's, me picturing you covered in beeswax is probably not what other people picturing you covered in beeswax or honey is. Because, like, I'm picturing you, like, with this disgusted look on your face and, like, your arms hanging down all sticky. And, like, I feel like it would be the opposite of fun. And you're like, just cover me in honey and beeswax, whatever. I can just imagine, like, this sticky, like, tarred and feathered version of you. Like, oh.
That is what it would most likely be like, though. Don't actually cover me in honey. That would be so sticky. That would be so sticky.
See, now that he's getting the visual, he's got the disgusted
it would be
look I
so
was
sticky,
imagining.
and if I was anyone near me, I would not want to be touched by me.
Oh,
Or don't
man.
come near me. Don't touch my things, my possessions. Don't touch Don't touch anything
cover Jordan in honey.
I nothing I own can't be touched by me.
Oh man. So, anyways, we like Burt's Beeswax.
Yeah. So, moral of the story: don't coat me in honey. Don't do that. But I like
Oh, that's
beeswax.
awesome.
I love beeswax.
Yeah.
I'll
do
eat
think
it.
there's a
I'll just
difference.
gnaw on it.
I do think there's a difference in things that are great for the skin, like for like if you live somewhere cold, you need to have a lot more rich of a skincare in the winter because you just dry out, you get chapped. So like I feel like back when I lived in Michigan, I used a lot heavier products that contained more beeswax and like just heavy butters all the time. Where like living in Ohio, where it's not quite as like bitter cold, I don't. My skin's just not as dry and chapped, so I don't need to use those heavier moisturizers to chap.
I haven't been tattooed
trap
since I
area.
lived out here. It's been a good almost a year now.
Yeah, I'm just talking
Since I've
about
been out here.
general
So
skin, is just in general.
Oh yeah.
But the point I was making is there are a lot of things that are really good for healed skin, but it's not necessarily just one ingredient. Like, don't church it up, or like maybe just a couple of ingredients.
Yeah. Don't nothing with a ton of essential oils in it or anything like that.
Yeah.
No flower petals.
Yeah,
or
that's great for healed skin, but you just don't want to introduce that into broken
Right,
skin, in my
exactly.
opinion. Like, everybody's got their philosophy, but I just feel like it's a little bit extra.
Right, and I mean, if you like, this is another thing we were going to get into. If you like know your body, if you know what works for you, then go with what works for you. If you've had a ton of healings and you have used the weird product that your tattoo artist says maybe you shouldn't use, but you've used it for years and years and it still works, like, hey, more power to you. We'll tell you what we know. That's all we can do. But there's a reason why we do things. But if you have if it works for you, it works for you.
So one of the things that I always like to make sure that I do, like the first time I work on somebody and the first time I'm having that aftercare conversation with them, is I like to ask them like, what do they do? Like, what is their daily routine without tattoos? Like, what body care products do they already use? And depending on what they say, I might give them instructions for what they already have. But if they're saying things like, "Oh, I use da 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 super fragrance body wash and da 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 fragrance everywhere," I might be like, have you heard of these natural butters? And I'll give them a list. And if they haven't heard of them, I might be like, have you heard of Aquaphor? And I'll show them a picture of it. And then I kind of I give them the lesson on how I like Aquaphor to be used. Sorry, guys, I'm rolling the blunt.
Always.
So I kind of give them a lesson on how I like that ointment to be used. You know, I do prefer the natural route, but sometimes people just don't even know where to go to get those things. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Especially like living in cities. Either you know where to get that stuff and you get it regularly, or it's like, oh man, like, can I get that at the drugstore?
And that's where like your unscented Aveeno lotions or like
Those are
Lubriderm
super
and
nice.
stuff like.
Yep. I do recommend the Aquaphor route, and a lot of people do. And I want to go into this a little bit because I always recommend Aquaphor because I know you can pick it up everywhere. If there's a pharmacy, they're going to have Aquaphor, or they're going to have one of the Aquaphor lotions that are really nice.
You love Aquaphor?
I do, but there's a little lesson that goes with it. So when I recommend Aquaphor, and this actually applies to all the natural body butters, but I push it a little bit more with the Aquaphor to make sure that people actually hear me. So clean your tattoo. I don't really have much preference with the soap. Do you? I mean, all soap is antibacterial. You just want to stay away from fragrance.
Well, I mean...
Do you have a specific soap that you like better? I don't really have any preference.
To a degree.
From my experience.
I mean, of course, like, I'm always going to be the hypoallergenic, you know. Don't put fragrance in it. But if you have no other soap, something with fragrance in it isn't going to kill you. Just...
That was our producer.
Yeah.
The cat.
He's wild. He made my screen go blank for a second. I don't know what he did. Oh, shoot. What was I saying?
I'm still rolling a blunt.
Oh, yeah. You're focusing on the blunt. Guys, what was I just saying?
We were talking about soaps.
Oh, yeah. Hypoallergenic. Just make sure it's hypoallergenic. You don't... But if you have nothing else, you can just make sure it's fucking soap. Wash yourself.
Keep it clean.
And you'll be good. But every time you do anything to your tattoo, don't ever touch it with your hands, ever, unless you've just washed them.
That's actually really important. Some people don't realize how important it is to keep your hands clean when you mess with your tattoo because it is open.
If you put those germs in Aquaphor, if you put those germs in your hustle butter and your shea butter and your whatever goop you decide to put on your tattoo, your lotion,
you've now contaminated the whole jar.
And now you've contaminated the whole jar, but you've contaminated your whole tattoo because now you spread those germs and now given them a vehicle to just sit and chill in on your arm, which is that ointment that you put on there.
Turns into like a petri dish.
Exactly. They're microbes. They're tiny, and they're not just like kind of all over. When they're all over, they're everywhere. They're so coated, and then they multiply like crazy.
Keep it clean. Keep it all clean.
Keep
your
it
hands
clean.
Clean. Clean your hands first, then clean your tattoo.
Keep your tattoo clean.
Clean your hands, clean your tattoo, clean your hands again, right?
Yep.
Yes.
And then you're set to go. And that sounds complicated, but that's actually just wash your hands.
Okay, so
then wash your tattoo.
Back to the Aquaphor spiel.
And then you can Aquaphor all you want.
Do you want to hear the Aquaphor spiel?
Please
I'll
tell me
it to
all
you.
about it.
Okay, so here's the Aquaphor spiel. I think it's incredibly important anytime you take care of your tattoo to actually like take the time to massage the area. Like if I'm working on like a half sleeve, I tell my clients it should take them 5 to 7 minutes to apply the Aquaphor every time they apply it. The reason is I want you to actually work those beneficial ingredients into the skin. You don't want to goop it up on the surface and create a barrier. You actually want to like massage it into the skin. And if it's still shiny or moist, dab it off with a clean paper towel. You actually want to moisturize it on the inside of the skin, not just goop it up on the outside and create a wet scab. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's really important to actually like rub it in. So reason number 1, to work in the beneficial ingredients of the Aquaphor or the shea butter or cocoa butter, lotion, whatever aftercare you're using. But you've got to rub it in. Just leaving it on the surface isn't going to benefit anything at all. So reason number 2, I want you to take 5 to 7 minutes to massage the entire area. And if we're talking like a full arm or a leg or a larger area than like a half sleeve, it should take you 10 or 15 minutes. Like take your time, take care of this. So the second reason I want you to take that long to do that is because just the act of like massaging an area, you're going to be stimulating new like circulation. You're going to be stimulating circulation and new cell growth, and in encouraging more circulation. Your body's going to be able to rush more white blood cells to that area and more like macrophages, which help carry away like debris and things like that. So your body can start healing more quickly. Just the fact that you're massaging that tissue and just stimulating it. So by taking like 5 to 7 minutes for like a good sized tattoo, or like 10 or 15 minutes for a whole limb, you're actually encouraging your body to heal more quickly from the inside out. So you're introducing something from the outside to help it heal, and you're also encouraging it to heal from the inside. So, and then after that few minutes, dab it dry and then let oxygen get to it, because the oxygen is going to help
Yeah.
as the
And
third
that blood
thing.
circulation is going to be great from
Yeah.
massaging it like that.
So
That's
for
so
me,
good.
I think for me, the magic of my heel, and I think the way my clients have such good luck with their heels, is I remind them constantly to like take a few minutes, and it feels good. Like whether it's the first or second day and you're still kind of sore and like hot to the touch and bruisey after being tattooed, like it feels good to like take the time and gently massage it. Like it just feels good, and you can like work out all the knots underneath the
It's
area.
a good time to give it its
And
fucking
then
good old itch too.
yeah, and then
Oh
like
man,
day
it's
3
so
and 4,
itchy.
when it itches like crazy, as you massage and stimulate that tissue, those itches go away for like 3 or 4 hours. And when it starts itching again, well, it's time to
Gonna
take
feel
another
so
5 or 7 minutes to like baby yourself.
Don't peel it. Don't
Yeah,
be peeling them.
yeah. If you're
them
massaging
little
it like
flakies.
this, those flakes just kind of like exfoliate off
Roll
with
right off.
with
If
the
they're ready,
ointment or with the
if
butter.
they're not ready, you're not working.
Yeah.
You're not pushing hard enough for them to rip off.
Yep.
So they'll stay.
So that's my aftercare spiel, and I think the important thing is keep it clean, keep your ointment clean, whether it's a natural butter, lotion, or Aquaphor. But take that time to actually baby the tissue. I think that's the magic, is actually like taking that few minutes to pay attention to it. So some people hate Aquaphor because it is so greasy, but like when you need to spend a few minutes rubbing it in, it's kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, that is true. I haven't used Aquaphor in my own tattoos in a long time. I've just been a straight lotion user.
yeah, my
just-
first several years
like
of
it
being
really
tattooed, I
simple.
used only Aquaphor, and I had really good luck with it.
I just use
So-
either a Castile soap or just like a soft soap brand.
I love all the
the one-
Castile
the
soaps,
one
by the way,
with the
while
little-
we're
with
not
the little
name
fish.
dropping.
Yeah, I like Castile soaps too. I have my issues with them though. I do have my issues with it. I love
can't do the
tattooing.
lavender one.
I
I
love
do the peppermint
tattooing
one.
it. It is antibacterial, but I don't know, saponified soaps. I have they're made with lye. I know the lye is not active in it anymore, but it's still kind of
I love it.
something.
It feels so good.
Yeah,
When
it's also
when I'm being worked on and they just wipe that cooling peppermint soap on me, sometimes that's more soothing than the Bactine. Bactine can be intense.
I love it on the
But
I
that
love it on
mild
tattoos.
peppermint feel.
All in all,
feels
love it
so
on
good.
tattoos.
Yeah.
Like for me, my problems were I used to have dreads for years, and I like to use it on my dreads. But then I realized that I thought it was a non-residue soap, and it actually does leave residue, and it leaves gunk in your
See, I've
in your
always
dreadlocks.
used. I usually use an African black soap in my dreads, so I have zero residue with that stuff. I love it.
Nice. I found
I-
that a paint
makes
thinner
my
actually works the
scalp-
best.
Paint thinner on your
Uh-huh.
dreads?
No, I'm just kidding.
What? Boy, what are you
I
doing?
use a solvent to really break down that gunk.
Wow, that's
No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just joking. No, they weren't that bad. But when I cut them off, you realize just how much was
yeah. The first time I had dreads, I thought they were super clean, and when I chopped them off and I got to
they're
investigating, I was like,
clean. They're
"Eh,
clean.
but-"
There's just like inert substance that builds up
Yeah.
like dead skin cells and stuff. It's
Mhm.
not necessarily bacteria because when you wash it good, but skin cells get trapped in there and then they're
Still
just
gross.
inert.
It's like a hot tub. It's clean, but not.
Yeah, I don't mean to
Sorry,
get into
rabbit
that.
hole.
But
We'll tell you about dread care as well if you
I
guys
love
ever
my
need
dreads.
to know.
I had them for almost 10 years, and then I cut them off only because of comfort. I was living that Rasta life till
Yeah.
I realized, like, oh, I don't have to be Rasta to be Rasta. I cut those dreads off.
Yeah, I love my dreads. This is the second time I've had them though.
Nice.
I had them for like
I had 'em
a
2
year and a
times.
half the first time. This time, I think I've only had them for maybe 3 or 3.5 years, maybe 4,
Nice.
maybe 4 this year.
Nice.
Hmm.
I contemplate growing dreads back or putting them into dreads. Once my hair gets to the point of like I need to do something with it because it's already pretty long.
You
I
could do the
don't
dreads
even put it
again.
down.
Get some itty bitty little guys, like pinky
I
sized.
would get little ones. I would get little ones
Mhm.
just to make it really comfy on my head, so they're not pulling from a bigger
Yeah.
space on each little.
It's important how
little
you
dread
section them
space.
off. Like when you first start them, it's really
If you do
important.
them wrong and you're pulling from all sorts of different areas on your head, forever, they will always be like that.
Mhm.
The way you start them is the way they shall be.
Yeah, get somebody that knows what they're doing to start your dreads. If you're
I-
gonna
I
do
did mine
dreads,
from
have somebody start them that can help you, or just do it a little at a time, one section at a time.
I did mine from a bald head, so I just kind of let them turn
Oh, you
into
just
what
let
they
them
were.
do. So yours were totally just Congo. Nice,
Yeah, I split them
nice. Okay.
myself, but
Um,
I look crazy, like an ICP head or something. I was not a juggalo or anything, but I totally looked.
until your dreads
I
get past
totally
like
looked
shoulder
like
length,
your
you
average
look like
like
a
Tool
juggalo.
fan and stuff, and then I went from looking for like your average ICP Tool fan to some hardcore Wook shit. But it was like that was Wook before I even knew what Wook was. I just started going to festivals and just getting out of high school. I was the only person I knew with dreads, and I was like, oh man, there's this whole world of people with dreadlocks out there.
Mm-hmm. I
I
love
met a lot
running
of
into
cool
other
people
people
through
with
that,
dreads.
and it was there's a weird thing. My identity was really tied to them for a long time. I did them to try to break away from that, like, thought of identity and caring about my hair and all that. And then I realized throughout, after like 10 years of having them, that I was ready to, not to be a different person, but to like just not, I don't know, just to like break that like thought of myself. I could only see myself with dreads. I
Mhm.
could only see that about me. And so I just kind of wanted to, besides comfort, I just was excited. I
know.
was excited to see myself as not being that, and also to people see me as not that. It had nothing to do with like weed smoking or any sort of like, connotation towards what dreadlocks were, what I thought people thought of me
Yeah.
because of that. It wasn't like that. It was just like my own personal, like, when people thought of Jordan, they probably thought dreadlocks. And when
Mhm.
I thought of myself, I thought dreadlocks. And I was starting to get really like tied into Rasta culture, and I don't know. It was really awesome. And so like being a part of that, I always thought like if I cut my dreads off, it's such a big part of me is gonna be gone. Like I'm gonna lose some like part of my roots or something like that.
So once you did chop them, did you feel different or did you feel freed?
I was free and I was better.
Awesome. That's
I
cool.
was much better.
That's cool. It's funny that
it'd
it
be-
kind of held you down like that. 'Cause
way-
I,
the
I,
way
I feel
I
like I
saw
don't
it-
have near that identity attached to my dreads. Like if I showed up to work tomorrow and my head was, I don't know if I'd shave it, but if it was short and my dreads were gone, it'd be like, oh, I'm doing something different, guys.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm such like a overthinker type person, so like I just feel like so much memory gets caught into my identity being like that, and there's so many things in my life and so many things I went through with my hair like that as well, and so many memories were tied to that part of my identity, and that it was also I felt like I was shedding like a whole part of my, this all this
Hmm.
weight, so a lot of weight came off my shoulders with just being like, oh, I don't need to like be this person I always thought I had to be. I was starting to feel like I had to like live up to
Did
you
you
know,
chop
some
your
sort of,
dreads
like,
before
spiritual
or
value or
after
anything.
you started getting tattooed?
Way after.
Way
I was
after,
I was
okay.
I was tattooing with dreads. Like I was
Okay.
always a tattoo artist with dreads up until
Okay.
like 2-3 years ago.
Do you think? I guess. What do you? How do you feel about the difference of the transformation with and without dreads versus like the growth of your tattoos?
What do you mean?
As far as like your identity and attachment to. Do you have attachment to your tattoos the way that you did your dreads?
Um,
Like, do you think they define you the way that your dreads did, or is it just a totally different kind of expression?
I think it's a different thing. I think it's different because hair is not permanent.
Okay.
You know, so you like there's a different. You don't have to.
So even though it
You
wasn't
don't have to
permanent, you felt like it
revere
held
it.
you back more.
You don't have to revere it as much as say a tattoo because it will always just grow back. It just
Mm-hmm.
you know whether it comes back or not comes back, it doesn't come back. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be tied up with that part of your identity. But with a tattoo, I mean, it's a different kind of choice. It's more it's you know it's a thing of will and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. You know what you choose to do mixed with all that, and I feel like that has a different kind of weight and a different. It's a different thing. I mean, I think they're tied together, but
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't think about my tattoos like that. Like I want to get rid of them to be a different person or something like that. I think that's
No,
because
do you think
of
getting them
the choices that I've.
not necessarily I wasn't suggesting that you get rid of them to change who you are, but do you think adding them, changing how you look by adding them, changes you the way that your dreads did?
Oh fuck yeah!
Yeah.
Hell yeah! Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. Absolutely. I think in a lot of ways, and I think we've talked about this in other podcasts, that thought of intention. I go into my tattoos with a lot of intention, and so like I want to be a better person by the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what kind of tattoo, how big or small I'm getting. Usually mine are big, but whether it's big or small, I'm gonna go at it with like I want to be better. Even if it was a tattoo of a Tasmanian devil, which I'm not gonna get, but if I did, like, I want to be fucking better, and I'm gonna embrace the spirit of the fucking Tasmanian devil. I don't fucking know why people get that shit, but,
Oh man.
but like, I mean, I would embrace it, hardcore. But
Embrace it.
by the, so when I come out of it, I'm gonna get something out of it like that, and so that's always been kind of what my intention was coming into it. So I think that has made it so when they just make I feel a better person. I feel
Mm-hmm.
more at peace with myself or whatever it may be, or maybe I feel like I went through some sort of spiritual excursion during the tattoo because of that, and then it's just a forever solidifier,
Mm-hmm.
of that little
It's
spiritual
almost like a
journey.
a souvenir of the spiritual journey you just gone on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
But I think that there's that, which is really cool because that's the inward journey, and that's just scratching the surface of that. But then there's the outward, like now you look different, and now we just so happen to live in a time where you look a lot sexier with tattoos these days. So, so you got that on your side too, so it can help bring some confidence and make you feel sexier and stuff. I could. I like that part of it, but that's by no means why I do it, or when I'm designing tattoos. I kind of want, I have that in mind. Like, yes, let's try to make the human body look even cooler,
Yeah,
even better.
absolutely.
And that's what I want with my body with it. But I'm like, I'm not like I want to be more sexually attractive and all that. I just know it'll come with it.
Mm-hmm.
But
Oh yeah.
there's all that. It's a 360 thing. And if you go at it thinking like I'm gonna be more sexy by the end of this tattoo, like that's gonna happen. I feel like whatever intention you want to put into it, by the end of it, you're gonna be closer to that goal of what you're trying to achieve.
I remember one time when I didn't have a lot of big artwork, but I had like been to conventions and I'd seen a lot of bodysuits and I had like seen other people's large collections. And I remember looking at other people's work and I remember thinking to myself and like even saying it aloud to my sister. She used to travel to conventions with me all the time when conventions were a thing, pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID.
Oh, I can't wait for
Oh man,
conventions.
I can't wait for post-COVID.
But anyways, I remember looking at other people's collections and I remember just imagining that, I wanted to look almost like a fractal version of a human, almost like a walking kaleidoscope. And I feel
Yeah.
like just having that thought in the back of my mind the whole time I've been collecting, like
We'll slowly
I've
get
never
you there.
actually like said those words to any of the people in my any of the people that have worked on me in our consultations. I've never actually said I want to be a walking kaleidoscope, but like just putting that energy out there, like
Think about when you're
this is
making a
my
painting.
goal. So now look at me. I'm turning into a walking kaleidoscope. Like I've got,
Isn't that sometimes
geometric
how that
art
kind of works when you're
and
painting and things?
ornamental art. Yeah, you just like put the energy out there and it'll just fall out of you by accident
One small
sometimes.
intention, one little thing, and then you just give it time and you give it
Yep.
energy and you
The
just
opportunities
nurture
present
it.
themselves.
You nurture it however you need to in reality to make what you want to make happen slowly over time. Whether it's a tattoo or whether
Yeah,
it's
I
some
feel like
goal you have.
I feel like by the time my bodysuit is complete, I want to look like if you saw me standing nude in the woods, not that this would ever happen, but if you just saw me standing nude in the woods, I'd want you to think that you just saw a walking daydream or a walking, like, remnant of somebody's acid trip, or, you know what I mean? Like a fractal of a human being. Like, I just think that would be so cool. Like, this blends into the background, but also jumps out in geometric ways at the same time. And now with like the combination of bio and geometric stuff I've got going on, it's just funny that like putting that intention out there super early on, it's started to happen. Looking like just looking at how I had this idea, and it was so ambiguous, and so like how do you put that into tattoo styles? But it's starting to happen. Like,
I think people can really take note of that too.
Yeah.
When starting their tattoo collection, you know, you don't have to know everything right off the bat, and you don't need to, and you should not expect yourself to in any way. If
maybe
you just
have some
start
overall
out,
goals.
create goals and create, you know, the small intention, you know, off the get-go. Search out the artist, of course, you know, look at portfolios. Start to define a little bit what you like, but also,
like, have ideas, but be open-minded. I always like to tell clients to think of their whole body as like an arrangement. And even if you don't plan on tattooing your entire body, let's look at your whole body as an arrangement. And when you stand and look in the mirror, how would you like that arrangement to bounce back? Like, do you just want to get sleeves and that's it? Do you just want to do, do you want to do a sleeve and the opposite leg for balance? Do you want, what kind of flow do you want your overall collection to have? Even if we're not committing to the whole collection right now, let's talk about your end goals so we can work with them and you're not backing yourself into a corner later on. That's one of the things I like about having like nice long consultations before we start projects.
Right.
We can delve into like, even if it's not work you want me to do, let's talk about those ideas. Let's make it so that this will make that better.
Starting to get that train moving.
Yeah, the
wheels
overall
turning
story.
Maybe some people don't even think about that, and they start jumping into a big piece, and then you can start talking about what are your big end goals, you know, regardless of who wants to do that. So where are we going to go with this to make it work out with what you might be wanting in the future?
I remember when Adam and I were talking about my leg sleeve, and he's drawing it. He does everything freehand for the most part. He stencils things sometimes, but usually he just draws them right on you, and it just kind of grows and evolves in a very natural way. But as he was working on my upper leg, he starts like creeping up onto my butt cheek, and I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. I was like, I don't want you to do my butt. And he like famously will incorporate the whole butt cheek in like his hip, just because it's that same piece. You do the same thing in your work, Jordan. You'll like start a mandala on the hip, and it encompasses that whole hip shape, including the butt, and that's like a nice round shape, and then comes down from there. So Adam likes to do that as well. So I was like, nope. And he looked at me and he was like, why? And I was like, I want my back piece to come all the way down to the bottom of my butt cheeks, and I don't know if I want it to be symmetric or not. And he was like, good answer.
Yeah.
So it was one of those like, why don't you want it tattooed? And it was like, well, I have plans for that area later on, and it all works and ties together beautifully now. But like, we had to have that moment of like, well, but it would look better if I bring this up onto your cheek. Why don't you want to do your cheek? It's like, well,
right. And it's definitely good.
There's another
It's
goal
definitely good
also.
to ask your artist questions about, you know, what you think about, you know, if they're going to go through a large area, you know, don't be afraid to ask them what they think about other areas or, you know, potentially leaving it open or everything we were just talking about. You'll bring that up. And so, you know, your artist knows that you're thinking of doing something there. So when they draw, I
feel like any good artist is going to want any work they do on you to blend into your whole collection. You know, whether it's one piece or whether you've got a huge collection already started. Everything should, in my opinion, everything should be cohesive. Everything, like if you have the option, you can make it all cohesive somehow, and you can make things tie to each other and kind of flow from one story to the next. Where, like, sometimes if you don't have that moment to like, oh, well, maybe it would look nicer if I did this idea here and this idea here, and that could be bigger, or, you know, any way, you know, any other way you could imagine it to look.
Yeah.
I think it's just nice to take those moments and consider the bigger picture, even if you're not committed to the bigger picture yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, all right, we've gone on a little bit, a little bit. I think it's time to take a little commercial break, and we will be
Okay.
right back.
You think when
For
we
the
come
sake
back we
of
should jump
editing time.
into Sanoderm?
Yes. Oh,
Adhesive
we need to touch.
bandages?
We
We
do need to touch
derailed a
on
little bit,
Sanoderm.
but
We need to tell people about Sanoderm. You
yeah.
guys need to know about
Adhesive bandages.
the dermal wraps.
Yes.
The dermal
The
wraps.
adhesive
the
dermal
DWs.
wraps.
The DWs, if you will.
ADW.
The
Yes.
ADWs.
ADW.
Yeah. So get your ADWs ready because we're gonna talk about them
All right.
right after this. And we're back to the Tattoo
Welcome.
Collecting
Welcome back.
Podcast.
All right.
Thanks for
So-
making it this far, guys.
So on our break, Jordan and I started talking about like times that we've been starstruck when we've met other artists.
Star spooked.
Yeah. So Jordan's got the Abbott color wheel, and it's like tucked in a document holder, like half on display right now because he just rearranged the studio. And I was telling him he should move it up and hang it just a little higher, like to put it on display. And like as I was sitting there just kind of spacing out at it, I was like, man, I am incredibly lucky to have had Russ work on me and know him. And then I was telling Jordan how like I choked over my tongue when Derb introduced me to him. Like I was like without words.
Such
Yeah.
a weird feeling
Yeah.
meeting the people you look up to.
Yeah,
to
I
like
never
that.
thought
But
I would
then
ever even meet him,
the way we
let alone.
the way we get to meet people, and I don't know, the way it happens in the tattoo community is you just end up like kind of like I haven't met Russ, but like you just kind of like end up, being friends with people you look up to.
That's a producer.
Yeah, sorry, producer and producer number 1 and number 2 they just got in a little fight. Producer number 2 is attacking number 1. But yeah, you just end up, I don't know, having developing friendships and stuff with him, and it's such a surreal.
It's really
it's a
cool how,
surreal
like,
thing, and it's really cool.
one connection branches out and flowers into all these other amazing connections of other artists and passionate people. Like not even just tattooers, but other artists, period, and other
Right.
just
I remember just meeting
different
Derb.
kinds of thinkers. You know,
When I
We're
first
really
met Derb, like
privileged.
I was like, oh fucking, Derb. Like I've seen his Instagram for so long and all that. I followed his work for years and years and followed Red Tree, and I kind of found out about all that from getting tattooed from Adam.
Mm-hmm.
But so then just become like good friends with him. Now Derb's just one of the homies. He's the owner of the shop. Super awesome dude.
Yeah, now it's like a regular
But
thing.
that
like, to get the text
that
to
has
come
also
over to watch
introduced me to
fights.
so many
Never know
other
who we're gonna
things.
meet.
All of the awesome artists, being able to just hang out with like Nate and Toby and
Mhm.
Adam and everybody, and at like a friend level.
Ooh, we're going to see Adam this week.
Adam, we coming for you. You're gonna
The
yeah, finish
official
my
tattoo
arm.
collecting fan club is coming to see Adam.
Yes. Coming for you.
Adam France fan club.
Coming
Maybe
for you,
that. Maybe
buddy.
that'll be like our first shirt design. Adam France fan club tattoo collecting.
Right. We'll have,
101.
we'll have his little like pizza face alien thing.
Oh man.
It'll be like a picture of like us wearing his shirts with the little pizza face on them.
We
Little
all
pizza
have
face
them
alien.
too. We could get like me, you, Derb. We all have those shirts. Be
Right.
great.
Yeah. Everyone from Red Tree.
The Adam Army.
And then Adam. Will be
All
like
of
on
our
the end.
robotic limbs hanging out.
Yes.
Yes. Oh man, that'll be fun.
Here's to you.
So-
Adam. Cheers.
So, what were we talking about? ADWs,
Talking about
right?
Yeah. you're talking about
ADWs.
Russ. ADWs.
I mean, we can talk about being starstruck longer if
Adhesive
you want to, or we can get
dermal
back down to business.
Wraps. I don't care. So being starstruck is dope. Meet your artist. If you want any artist out there in the world that you want to meet, anyone. It doesn't fucking. I mean, if they're a tattoo artist or if there's a painter or someone who takes commissions, just contact them. Seek work.
Ooh.
Seek work out from them.
I
If you
collected,
get a tattoo from a tattoo artist, you're gonna become friends with them. If you're, if you're not an asshole, they're gonna like you and you're gonna meet them, and it's gonna be. That's a cool way to get to know someone that that you've
Mhm.
like looked up to for a while, and or if you're like as an artist, curious about technique and things. No better way to learn
Mm-hmm. Collect
than to
art.
see from another
collect
artist.
tattoos.
Wisdom gained from
Mm.
other artists, like there's nothing more valuable. There's so many things that I learned in a day because I seen someone that was, that knew something I didn't do it, with something that like, might have spent 5 years or plus trying to learn, and then I see it, and I'm just like, oh, what?
What?
Okay,
What when you see the trick
I didn't have to
revealed?
be doing all that to just get that. Like that's all you do.
I could get this
The
in
amount of
3 steps
the
instead
amount
of
of
7.
things that are like that in so many different ways. From learning. Don't be afraid to seek help, and don't be afraid to watch and observe and take advantage of, you know, other people when you can, like that. Only in that way. Like when you see other people, don't steal people's work, but when you see someone who's doing something that you want to do, like, I don't know, do
Oh
it.
yeah, I want to use an example
You can
from
do it.
yesterday. So I recently had the privilege and opportunity to collect a couple of pieces of art from Tom Strom, who I love his work. Hopefully one day I'll be able to collect some tattoo work from him. So until then, I'm collecting his art. um, so I haven't actually received them. I've only seen them like through pictures we've shared on Instagram and through like private messaging. But I started this sleeve yesterday, and it was like, um, I'm not gonna call it like traditional Japanese, but definitely Japanese inspired samurai. And as I'm like setting up my colors and kind of like daydreaming for the day, the specifics of the tattoo, we're talking about color, and I'm like, you know, are you cool giving me like freedom to use, kind of like muted colors here and bright colors here? And he was like, yeah, yeah, do whatever you want. Like, I totally trust you. So I totally, as I was approaching this, because I've been looking at Tom's work for the last, week, just like drooling and oogling these couple of drawings, or watercolor paintings, really. Um, I definitely like stole his color palette. Like I definitely chose colors that he would have used in
Yeah.
either a tattoo or in some of his watercolor drawings and little standees that
Right.
he's making.
I can definitely.
Um, but I used like these real muted blues for the sky and like a putrid, like stony ash color into bright yellow for like the rays of sun. And then everything else in it is like muted greens, like dark, mossy, rich greens to like gray green. So I definitely like instantly have been immediately influenced just from like looking at how he makes his colors and how he uses such a limited palette to like make these extreme pops of color. So it's like as much as I like playing with color, and I get carried away and I'll have like 60 colors out on my palette for a day. Yesterday I managed to achieve that with like 12
Nice.
just by like, I really like what he did with the background of these, and I can achieve so much so fast if I like simplify and kind of use a few of those techniques. And it came out beautifully. Like
Nice.
to just like instantly like, how would he approach
Yeah.
this?
To
It
be.
just added another layer of to what I already do, and it made the tattoo go even more quickly because I'm just laying those fields of colors out nice and smooth and not transitioning through a whole rainbow.
I always go. We were always talking about Adam, but like that was something that I took from him when I was getting tattooed by him, and he was someone who of a relative style. I'm super into bioorganic work, so it's why I'm watching what he's doing while he's tattooing me. Not to take everything that he's doing, but it's awesome.
It's the
It's
best way
awesome
to
to
learn
watch.
as
It's
a
awesome to
tattooer.
watch another artist do something that you do in a different way.
Best
So
way
it's
to learn.
so it's just like a magical thing to watch that. Um, but what was it gonna? Oh yeah, but just so what I seen with his palette and what I seen with that was, the simplification of it. He wasn't laying out like I'd have 50 color palettes out. I
Hmm.
would sit and I would spend an hour almost sometimes, just mixing colors and getting my colors perfectly laid out for big color pieces that I wanted to do, mixing every little color. And then I realized the how I could be getting the same results with a
Hmm.
simpler ways by, especially like, adding in, muting colors and stuff. And I went from having like 50 colors to having like, maybe like 15. If
Yeah.
I was doing a 50 color palette, maybe now I got like a 15 color palette, maybe a little bit more. But when
Hmm.
you're going 50 to 15, it's a big thing. But then, sticking with primary colors and then just being able to mute those, have highlights and have darks.
For me, it's the sunsets that require all the colors. You know, I can just get the smoother color transitions if I can just get the color I need out of a bottle. Do I have the capability to make it on the needle on the fly? Yeah, but like
Right.
when I'm doing a sunset that
And
goes
going
from
really,
like
really high chroma.
yellow all the way to rich, rich purples.
So
Like
you
when I'm
want, like,
going through the entire spectrum,
you want
I
3,
need them
4
all.
yellows in that. You want 3 or 4 oranges. You want 3 or 4 reds. You want 3 or 4.
Absolutely.
I know
And
how
then
that
you'll have
goes.
like your warm
High chroma.
blues and then your cool blues for your shadow areas. So now you're up to 8 blues minimum. And then you do the same thing with your purples, hot purples, cool purples.
I love the
Oh,
effect of those pieces.
and then greens are another one.
It's
I
always-
could have 30 greens
It's always
out.
piece dependent.
Yeah.
How you want
Mm-hmm.
your layouts. But I just love
If I'm doing an
simplification.
autumn tattoo as opposed to a summer tattoo, that's totally different. Summer, I can just get away with like greens, a few yellows, and mostly blues and grays. But if we're doing autumn, I got to get all the browns and oranges and reds and yellows and all. I mean, I love it. I love it all. But
I almost always have at least 4 or 5 values of every color.
the time of day in my
Any
landscape
color I
makes all
put
the
out's got
difference,
4
too.
or 5 values of it, just in case. I might not even use half of them, but I want them. I want them there. I want to make sure they're there, even if
Okay.
I just need a dot.
All right, we're talking too much tattoo talk. We need to get back to adherent dermal
It's okay.
wraps.
It's okay. I think people like to hear it.
ADW.
I think you guys like it, don't you?
Yeah.
Tell
Yeah.
us. Tell us in the comments. Say just shut up. Say stop talking technique. We don't give a fuck.
Don't tell us the name of the colors. Don't tell us how many colors.
Let us do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't overcomplicate things for yourself.
Simplify. That's one of the
overcompli-
secrets of
don't
life is just
overcomplicate things
simplify it,
for
man.
us. Find a. Tell me your favorite color, and I'll find you what colors look best with it. Unless you're telling me you want a rainbow.
Absolutely. I do like asking people what their favorite color is. Sometimes it's relevant, sometimes it's not.
I like having the Abbott color wheel around because I can. I used to do it all the time. I would show people, triadic or analogous, etc. Like monotone.
I gotta hand it to Russ. He really
color,
packed.
color wheels, and then I could be like, look, these are my eternal inks. This is the color palette right here. I mean, if you want to pick, you can pick. I'll pick what's best if you tell me your favorite colors.
Yeah.
And just tell me what you don't like. But also, don't be afraid of what you don't like because sometimes that might just be what that color needs. You know what I mean? Like, not
Even if
everyone,
you're just
not
an
everyone
artist,
thinks of like.
not a tattooer, you should pick up the Abbott color wheel. I think it's just digital now, right? Do you know?
We're totally plugging him.
Anyways, here's the cool thing about the Abbott wheel. He's
He's not paying us. We're not
He
getting paid for
packed
this.
an entire college course of like full on color and light theory into one user friendly, easy to understand guide. Like what took me 3 years to learn, he packed into a tool that you can access instantly. Utilize it. Like this is artist to artist advice.
That's
Like
awesome.
it's just an amazing tool for color for any kind of artist. He did a great job breaking
And
it
as
down
a-
and
as a
making it
tattoo
super
artist,
simple.
He had the vinyl piece. Did you see the vinyl sticker that he had? So you could like put it on you could put it on your wall or on a glass cabinet
Oh,
or
yeah, yeah.
something. I always had that up, and I
Mhm.
always had it on my ink cabinet, so I could just go right to my inks, and I don't know, just pick them out so easy. It
Mhm.
was just so streamlined. And so what that did for me as an artist, like I know we said we weren't going to plug technique so much. This is more of just like color theory. It just helped me really get to know color theory, so I could, every time I jumped into a tattoo, I was looking at what colors worked well together.
Mhm.
And the more I did that, and like say, as a tattoo artist, I'm doing it every single day. So if I'm doing it every single day for years, that got me so in tune with what colors I thought were going to work together and all that.
Yep.
And so that really propelled my own learning of colors. So Russ, thanks for that. For sure. And I think anyone can benefit off that, whether you're a painter or anyone who works with color in any way can work with it. But
Yep.
if you're a tattoo artist, you make some pretty tattoo specific. You can get like the eternal ink palettes or
Yep.
whatever. But
Yep, it's just an incredible tool. Like if you just discard the ink names, it is applicable for every kind of artist out there. It's an amazing tool. But anyway,
and at its base level, though,
it's just a glorified color wheel.
I'm sorry. Thanks for listening to
That's from the weed, not the Rona.
2 hours of me coughing every
Jordan
episode.
coughing. And you know what? This is even your weed. I forgot mine today. I left it on my
Once it
table at
starts.
home.
But well, I was gonna say something
Back up the
back to.
truck.
Oh yeah, in essence, all it is, Russ is awesome for what he did and how streamlined he made it for tattoo artists. But just get yourself a color wheel. Anyone who likes color, get a color wheel. Start looking at it all the time. Start using it. Start seeing. Just read a little bit on how to use it, and learning about color will change your life.
Mm-hmm.
I swear to God.
Absolutely. You'll
I-
start seeing things so differently. Once you learn how color works, you start to appreciate like the sky so much more. You'll just get lost
And
looking at how
if you
color
don't
plays with each
understand,
other in the sky and the trees
oh
and
man, if you
uh,
don't understand how it could,
color's
when
so
you hear
exciting.
that and you're like, how could knowing more about color change my reality, my perceptions?
Oh, it
Just
does.
know that
It does so
it
much.
will.
Yes.
It will. I promise. And that's what I love about art. The more I learn about art, it for me is just the more I learn about how to break
The more
down
you learn about color,
break
the more
down
you learn about
reality.
energy.
How do I break down my senses
Mhm.
enough to be able to replicate it and recreate it in some way that my imagination can kind of put those pieces back together into whatever I want, but it's only a culmination of what I absorb. And so the more I know about what I'm absorbing, the more detailed I have that in, it's like absorbing more information. You're taking more information in your brain, and within can do more with it. To
Yes,
me, like
absolutely.
a computer.
Ah, color's so exciting for me. I feel like such a nerd when I start talking color theory. I've got a couple of people that I work on that are a couple. Well, I'm thinking of Austin and Sam in particular, but I love getting together with them just because like they get as excited about color as I do, and they get as excited about like building crazy contrasts and making like these surreal, glowy like shapes and fields and um, ah, not everybody nerds out about color.
Yeah.
But like
And
once
not everyone's going
once
to.
you do, you I don't know, you really do just start seeing the world a little bit different the more you learn about it.
I would love
I get
to.
excited with
I would
color.
honestly see. These are the things I just would love to delve into. Like I know it's like why I want to start another podcast is, I love talking about the tattoo stuff, but then there's these rabbit holes we can go down in talking about color and just getting deep into like,
Yeah,
man, I
we
could
can
go
get
on for
into
a
like
day
the
about how I
electromagnetic
feel
spectrum and
about color and how
wavelengths.
that will change your reality. How to
Mhm.
make it change your reality. How I've done it for myself. How my journey of that has been.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, I feel like that's juicy information, and it's juicy for me to talk about. I like it because then it puts it back in the forefront of my brain, and I
Mhm.
like giving those things. So,
Yep, there's actually like
gratitude,
a science to color.
and it's just like to me, it's like a prayer. You
Mhm.
pray to your Jesus, or you pray for your food that you're eating. I pray for the fact that I've learned how to take information in a certain way, how to learn to absorb color. You can just let that be nothing and just let it be some random thing, another thing on top of everything we learn in life, or you can like give it gratitude and give it thanks.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like spend the time to be conscious that that's something that's happening, and so you can
Yeah.
do that with
The more you learn about something, the more you appreciate it.
right. And so I feel
Mhm.
like that runs on everything I learn.
Mhm.
Like anything you learn, it like alters your reality. Some things more than others.
Yeah.
As long as it's truth. It
Truth.
has truth.
The truth.
It has truth in reality.
Only truth.
Fuck politics. I'm not getting into any of that. Truth in reality is different from truth in politics.
Well, I don't know about no politicking.
Soul questions. I like
No politicking.
it's the soul questions and the
Yeah.
wisdom guidance.
So we've
We're
got
here
this.
for ya.
We've got this huge Alex Gray tapestry that's staring at me. It's one of like the.
Oh, it's in a
Um,
great spot for you to just
Yeah,
be able
it's
to
a
just
great
gaze
spot
off
for me
in.
because
Oh
it's
yeah.
just like the perfect like rabbit hole, and it's got just
Right? It
all
gives
the
you
eye candies, but I'm loving it.
gives you somewhere for your brain to exist in while you're trying to come up with thoughts.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's a great addition. I like all the artwork you've got hanging up.
Thank you.
I like that's a great spot for Nathan's print up there.
Didn't that fit nicely?
Yeah, that fits beautifully. It looks nice.
Do you see the didgeridoo?
I didn't even notice the didge up there. That's a perfect spot for that thing. Awesome. We got. You know what? I think we're ready to start going live. We need to start going live with this now. We'll get a tripod over in the corner. We're gonna start making
This is it.
live on.
I'm pretty much
on
done working
Instagram.
on it in here. Maybe a curtain and the soundproof curtains,
Yeah,
because
for sure.
I think right now
I feel like
Dante might hear us.
It's cool.
But that's cool. I'm
What if
sure he's okay
we
with
could
it.
get to the
We're
point
not
where
running
Dante
these.
just
We're
comes
not running
over?
these at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Jordan's got the best neighbor. Who's your neighbor,
Soundproofing's
Jordan?
next. Dante. What is it? What's his last name?
Dante Gabriel.
Dante Gabriel.
Yeah, he's a coworker of ours at Red Tree. He does amazing black and gray work. He works in real dark work. Not necessarily dark as in like subject matter, but he works in like almost like a charcoal style where he just goes in with like a real deep, rich black chiaroscuro style, and he has these bold white highlights that just bring his stuff to life.
Yeah, he's a gnarly black and gray
We're
artist.
gonna talk him into coming over and talking to us because he's got some really nice tattoos himself. His wife also, Nikki, she's got an amazing collection.
Yeah, he can talk about. I know he's someone who uses a lot of different products, so he'd be good to talk about. What he thinks about different varieties of products.
Yeah, he's. You know what? Maybe that can be our next segue off of this one, to specifically delve into what actual products
And what people can like, because most people don't know where to go or what to look into. What's at Walmart or Myers or CVS, and you got tattoo, you got Lubriderm, you got some shea butter.
Yeah.
You got all your good options. I mean, you got everything you need, to be honest. You don't need anything else, and that's kind of what we were saying earlier.
Yeah. I mean, you can get
But
the
you
fancy, expensive
you do
tattoo
have your
aftercares, but
options.
yeah.
Just I don't know.
Keep it simple.
Don't get tubs unless you're a tattoo artist. Don't get a fucking tub.
Yeah. So,
Right,
if you do want to go the tub route, not everybody has tongue depressors to like scoop out of the jar, but you know what? Everybody does have Q-tips. Just scoop a little glob out with a Q-tip, put the lid back on, and that keeps it sanitary.
And if a Q-tip, if you don't get enough on it and you're having a hard time just like pulling it out, it's too hard.
Take
It's
like
too hard.
2 Q-tips.
You can
scoop
take
a gloop.
You can take 2.
Yeah.
You can take 3.
Yeah.
You can take 3 Q-tips and look at that.
Use it as a
you gotta.
spoon.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That is a clean way to do it,
Yeah.
though. All
Keep the
jokes
jar
aside.
clean. Yeah.
Take care of your tattoo. You'll be good. You can keep it simple. Just make sure you're following the regimen that your tattoo artist told you. But also keep it consistent.
Yes.
Do the same. Once you find something that works for you, don't change it. Just keep doing that because you know that works. And then if you have any adverse reactions to things, that's when you know you can try something else. And if it's minor, you can try it again. And then if it happens again with what you're doing, then you know to change it. But if it's something more serious, you know to change it. But you know how rare that is at all for me.
The adhesive wraps. Do you personally
AWDs, okay.
Yeah. Do you personally use them? Do you recommend them?
ADW.
Yes. Adhesive dermal wrap.
Yeah, that's what we've coined them. We're not going to say Sanoderm. They're ADWs. There are ADWs.
We might slip, but
right. So you're going to take out your ADW and what font?
First.
No, okay.
First, you're going to make sure your tattoo is done weeping.
So, okay, something I want to talk about this is something we have not touched on. Different ADWs, there is a big difference between different brands of it. You got Sanoderm, you got Turgoderm, you got what's the other one?
There's
Second Skin.
What's Mike Chambers?
Sorry
Mom. He's got one.
Sorry
that's
Mom.
called Sorry Mom.
What the best one I've used a couple different ones. I've used Turgoderm, Second Skin, and Sanoderm. I've used Sanoderm for years. I used Turgoderm quite a bit. I mean, I liked it. Basically kind of the same. And Second Skin, I like that too. But all of them also come with a matte one. There's there's like a glossy version of it, and then there's a matte version. Always go with the matte. It's so much thinner, and it moves with the body much better.
That's good to know.
Much better.
I thought it just...
Not very many people know about it.
I thought it just varied from brand to brand, like which one was shiny.
There
or
are
matte.
other brands that have that, too. I forgot.
So you've had better
There's another
luck with
brand
the
that's
matte
none of the ones
though?
that we were talking about, but there's another one that an artist in Grand Rapids, really awesome artist, Nick Mann, he started using a lot, and then I was using it a little bit, but I just never ended up jumping into it because I was just straight up Sanoderm. We had a lot of it
one that
supplied
I got
for us
for
to
years
shop.
from Tommy's Supplies, and it was paper backed, and I felt like I had fewer adhesive reactions with that one. Like it was like clear on one side, paper on the other. You know what I mean? The backing on either side. But I feel like that one worked really well, and it's like the same price as all the others. I can't remember exactly what it was. But I had really good luck with that. And that happened to be a matte one, like what you're talking about. Like, it's been a while since
Okay.
I've ordered
Yeah.
it, but I had really good luck with
Yeah,
that
I
stuff.
really, really like those. I used them on quite a few tattoos while Nick was using it, and I just loved it. I loved it. I wanted to switch to it, but that was right in the phase of me. I was starting to do like all big pieces from there on, and I just don't use it on big pieces. Whole body parts,
I agree with you
it
on
does
that one.
not. It's not good. If it's like a half a leg or something like that, I don't even like wrapping it 360 around a whole arm or a whole below the knee.
Yeah, I try not to go all the way around a limb with
It
it.
just ends up. I do feel like it ends up suffocating it to some degree. It works out most of the time, but you're more prone to something adverse happening, and if it comes into contact with anywhere that starts to crease and bend, you start to get these little. You start to get these little fractures and like cracks in it where the
Hmm.
skin pulls up
And you'll get
into
those little
into
bubbles in
little
it.
indent bubbles with it, and they're just
Yeah.
like long ripples of skin that pull up, and then the Sanoderm or the ADW is pulling the skin up, and it's irritating the skin, and it doesn't irritate it in like the first couple hours of the day, but then you're usually going to have that on for a few days, and after a few days what usually happens is you start to get little razor, like it's like you get razor burn, but you get little infections where all in all your little pores. So you don't get a big overall infection on your tattoo. You get an infection just in the pores of your skin, not even where you're tattooed. Like even in areas you're not tattooed.
The little white bumps. I know what you're talking
Little
about.
teeny
Yeah,
white
where all
bumps all
the
over,
pores have just
and sometimes
clogged with
and
sebum because they
so,
haven't been
and
able to
sometimes
breathe.
they get
That's real.
really infected. But like not. They can get scabby. I had that happen on Adam's tattoo. I put Sanoderm on it. He didn't put Sanoderm on it. I did it when I got back, and then I had it over top of the crease of my arm here, and then it was only from the Sanoderm. It was not from the tattoo. Like I know my body. I know how it heals, and I have had other tattoos by him that didn't heal like that. It had nothing to do with the tattoo, but I got those little teeny bumps
Yep.
all over, and it was from the Sanoderm doing that. I felt like it was suffocating my skin, but also irritating it so much.
Do you think it was probably just too big of an area?
It was too big of an area.
Okay.
That's exactly what it was.
Before we get too far into this, I do want to say there. So if you do have an artist and they do work large and they do use Sanoderm and they cover you, there are exceptions to everything we're saying. Every artist is going to have a different approach. Bottom line, listen to your artist. If your artist puts it on you, leave it on you. We're just talking like our own personal like collecting history and preferences with Sanoderm. And those experiences are what influence how we use Sanoderm while we're working. But I know some amazing artists, and they use Sanoderm on like full chest pieces, full sleeves, and they get amazing heals. But I also see the time and care they take to place the Sanoderm, and they'll the artist that I'm speaking of, they use like smaller pieces. Like they just cut the Sanoderm into smaller pieces and patches and strips. So instead of putting a huge sheet all the way around the arm, they're actually like custom fitting these little patches all the way down. So that seems to make a difference. It takes more time, it uses more material, but that seems to make a difference as far as like with the bending and creasing, like you were talking
Yeah,
about.
I think that definitely helps.
So before we say absolutely don't use it large, if you are using it properly and you're taking the time to apply it right, you use it. Like
You wanna-
trust your artist.
you wanna know
Whatever,
one of the-
however your artist uses it, trust them. And I'll go into one of my
I
stories
think
later on
with
about it.
the big thing that is also with that to watch out for, it runs with exactly what you're saying, is that they're being very properly placed. If you overlap them, it becomes saran wrap. Once it's overlapped, it becomes saran wrap. It's not permeable anymore, because that's what makes it what it is. Gases can escape, but liquids can't. So
Right.
that's why it's breathable, but it's not breathable once you overlap it. So you have to overlap a very skinny little piece. Once it's overlapped like that, you're suffocating that area. And if you do that over a huge area, it's so easy to create 6-inch, by 8-inch areas of overlappedness on your tattoo. And I think that, might play into some of mine, healing the way it has. But I've had probably two or three out of the hundreds and hundreds of people that I've used Sanoderm on have that issue. But seeing it on myself, I just, I just
Hmm.
stopped doing it.
So I've actually,
So I was never really doing it over huge pieces. It just use up all my Sanoderm as well. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
I've actually had good luck with Sanoderm. I have only used it on the back of my knee. Layla D'Amato did a cicada, and it's just a detailed, super detailed, fine line cicada that's fully saturated. It turned out beautifully. But we did it at a convention. So since I was traveling, and when you travel sometimes with a smaller tattoo, you can get lazy about taking care of it. So
Hmm.
she Sanodermed it, and it healed beautifully. I left the Sanoderm on for 3 days, and it stayed dry the whole time. I didn't have any weeping or like any, pockets of um, like plasma that pool up
Hmm.
in it sometimes. I didn't have any of those issues. We did wait till it was like we waited like an hour. We got good photos after it was done, like weeping and bleeding, and then she cleaned it one last time and then put the Sanoderm on. So I think waiting really made a difference as far as that plasma buildup in there because it was already like dry and not continually weeping anymore. And then the other time I had great luck with it was another like new school ish artist, definitely new school. Austin Yancey did my gummy berry juice bottle,
Hmm.
and it's all like magic and shimmery, and it's got this little like super detailed rope around it, so it's super like delicate fine lines, and then in each little tiny piece, there's like these dramatic little color shifts. Austin gets super carried away with color like I do, but he was like, Fawn, I know you hate Sanoderm, but please leave it on. Just
Hmm.
please. I was like, all right, if you say so, I'll leave it on. However, I just,
Used
like I
properly,
heal fine without it. And he's like, please
used
keep it
properly,
on.
you get a perfect heal. I
So
really do love Sanoderm.
so he Sanoderms me, and one of the tricks to Sanoderm is you've got to actually like Sanoderm a pretty large area around the tattoo. Like you got to go like an inch and a half, 2 inch perimeter around. Wouldn't you agree? Like
Yeah.
it
Oh
can't,
yeah.
it shouldn't be
Oh
tucked up
yeah.
close to the
You need
tattoo.
a
It's got to
couple
be
couple inches out, and that's
it's got
what'll
to
keep
be
it from
out and
opening
around
up.
it. Well, anyways, Austin bandages me up, and I think a day or two later, we go kayaking with Derb, and then we jump off some bridges, and we rope swing and things like that, which I would have never done with a fresh open tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
However, I was like, I'm Sanodermed. It'll be fine. And it was.
Yeah. So
so,
it's great. It's
so I
it's a
actually,
dream and it's a luxury.
I
It
actually
is a
always have it
luxury.
on hand.
You don't have to use it. A lot of people do start to think that because some artists are using it that it has to be used. It is a tattoo luxury. But I
If I
mean,
have somebody traveling in, I'm more
if
prone
I
to use
have it,
it.
I'm going to use it on a piece I know it's going to work well on.
Hmm.
And the only reason I'm not is because I either don't have it or I don't think the piece needs it. And I don't
That's
want
the
it to heal
thing.
bad.
Most pieces don't need it, but every now and then, like every now and then, I'll have a client that has a filthy job too.
That's the
Those
cases
are
that
the
I
times
when I
that I
do have it
use it.
around, I like to have it around
Yep,
is for that.
I usually use it, and then I'll pre-cut pieces and send them with some to replace it. Like I insist that it gets changed every 24 hours. But if your artist puts it on and tells you to leave it on, listen to them. But if your artist
Hmm.
tells you to replace it after 24 hours and then leave it on, do that. If your artist tells you to replace it every 24 hours, do that. Um, have we ever talked about how to remove it?
Cool.
I hear a whole bunch of different directions, but I've experimented a
Yeah.
little bit myself. What do you tell clients for removal?
Okay. Well, so I mean, I tell them what I usually do. So that is usually in the shower. I don't know. It's the easiest place to take care of a tattoo, to be
It
honest.
is the easiest place
And
to do it in the
as
shower.
long as it's not super hot, but I usually, if I can reach the area really well, which I've been on all of my Sanoderm tattoos, I, start from a corner, start to peel a corner. You can use your palm or whatever to just kind of roll that corner down. But while you're doing it, if you're doing it in the shower, let's just say you're in the shower and you're doing this, you know, just roll it kind of down, use soap and kind of roll it into the creases and into the corners, get every edge of it all soaped up, and then just start rolling your hand. Say it's on your forearm and you're starting from the top, just use your hand to just start rolling it down and pushing that soap into it and do it and keep on doing it and just get a bunch of it loose. And then, if you can grab, yeah, another one. another one.
And another one.
And if I don't know if you can do that if you want to be real soft with it. Don't ever just rip it off. I mean, it's probably not going to rip off like you
Definitely
want,
be gentle.
but it also can rip your tattoo off. Just work slowly, work that soap, and use that soap as lubrication to help break the adhesive down while you're doing it. And you can slowly pull back. What I do, I like to take a corner and then push it if I'm pulling on it, pulling that corner as close to the skin as possible downwards, and then, kind of like pulling it down while keeping it close to the skin, doing that slowly. Then when it gets stuck and it's not going any farther and it feels like that adhesive is really there, just working that soap into it a little bit. You can just be patient with it.
Yeah.
And if you're not in the shower, you can just do that in the sink or do that
like
wherever.
it releases over the tattooed area easier than it releases the skin around the tattooed area. So that's always
usually the tattooed
tug
area
as much on the tattooed area.
Unless you've changed it out and then it was just like dry and done plasma,
One of the things
like
that I think
leaking
was
it
the
all.
easiest way for me to work with what is it? ADW? The ADW?
The ADW.
The best way for me to remove the ADW.
The ADW.
The ADW. So, you know how 3M command hooks work? Where they've got like the little tab and you like just stretch it. And as you stretch it, the adhesive releases across the surface. So I found that if you can work a corner loose the same way you said, just like work an edge just to the point that you can grab it. If you stretch like in the direction that it already is, like stretch it flat and away, it'll just start like creating a bubble and it just starts slowly releasing across the tattoo. And I also find that doing it like that, if you like stretch it like a command hook, like the command adhesive, if you stretch it, it lets go of the hairs a lot easier. Like, say you put it on an arm or like somebody's chest and you get it in chest hair where it's really sensitive. If you stretch it like a command hook, it releases those hairs instead of pulling them out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that'd be horrible. I mean, I've never had that problem on myself, but I've definitely like changed it on people where it was like, oh man, I'm so sorry, I got all tangled up.
It's gonna hurt a little
Stretching
bit,
it
but
really helps it to like release easier
if you
and
know
more comfortably.
Listen to this. I agree with that awfully.
But definitely do it in the shower.
think
It
if
is much easier in the shower.
And first off, let's just go preemptive with this. If you hear this before you go into your artist and you're going to use Sanoderm, let's just say you're educated and you're going to, just tell them to shave it all.
Shave the whole body part.
Shave it all. Then you don't got to worry about it pulling your hair and being a baby and worry about what you got to do to try
Honestly,
to
it makes it easier to
circumnavigate
keep you
pain
clean
from
while we're
that.
working, too.
Just do what you got to do to take it off. But yeah, we want to take all the hair off anyway. We don't want to just like nitpick around the area. I just if I'm working half an arm, I'm going whole arm. We're getting it all off.
Yeah. I always question like the hand though. Do I stop at the wrist or do I just keep shaving the hand?
Shave it all
That's
off.
always a funny thing.
Leave the fingers hairy.
Just hairy knuckles. Oh yeah.
I doubt he's gonna leave that there.
Only hairy knuckles. That's how my clients know each other.
That's what I do when I'm doing like something small on a back on a really hairy guy. I just shave like a little circle right in the middle of it all. And just leave all the hair. No, I'm just kidding. No, I fucking shave all of it. I get it all out. I'm like, sorry, dude.
Oh,
Do you want to have half of a shaven back? Oh my God, I've had that before where I've had to, or they're doing half of their back, but they're so hairy. And I pull out my razor, and I'm thinking of one dude in particular right now, and he was a big dude, and he was Armenian, he's just like the hairiest dude.
Had a sweater.
Oh my God. And I just pull out the razor that I had to shave him. I'm like, oh man. I'm like, next time, if you can, trim a little bit or something like that. But I'm like, I'm totally down to do it. But I'm like, look at the razor I have to shave your entire back with. We spend an hour each time because he can't reach. He has no one else to do it. And I'm cool with doing it because I don't want him to cut himself.
Let me jump in real quick. One thing I always encourage my clients to do, it's really awkward to shave your arm or leg if you don't do it regularly. Like, it's a really awkward thing. So a lot of times people will nick themselves up and they'll have cuts and things like that that I have to work around. If you want to be helpful and save time, just knock the hair down with clippers. Like, just take the guard off and knock it down with clippers. Then if your artist can get the
Yeah.
clean shave that they need
Don't razor
anyways.
yourself.
Yeah,
Leave
just
the razor for us.
if you want to be helpful, just knock it down with clippers.
Like-
Do you agree? Do you think that's more helpful?
Well, yeah. Let's say you take a little chunk of skin off and you have a little scab, and I have
Now
to
we can't
I
tattoo that
tattoo
area.
over that scab. If that ink ain't gonna stay
Yeah.
where that scab is, it's gonna heal different. It's
Yep.
got a different process. It's already in its
So
process
just
of healing.
just knock it off with clippers. Like, just knock it down. That may if you happen to be a hairier person, like, and you don't normally shave, just knock it down with clippers, and then your artist will get it nice and cleanly shaved. We're all pretty good at dealing with the skin and getting a nice clean shave, but
Mhm.
but that'll be the thing that saves a lot of time, is just kind of knocking it down. But anyways, go back to your Armenian.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, in essence, that was it. He just was so hairy. It took an hour to tattoo him. We did a dope piece on him, but he was just so hairy and grew back so fast. And every time he came through, it's an entire back to shave
Yeah.
with my 2-blade razor. Like, it made me think of like how, like, for people that are that
I
hairy
wish we
and
could
grow
use a flat razor
and grow like
on- or a
like
straight
2
razor on
inch
people like
2-inch
that.
back hair, and it's
Mhm.
like beard hair on their
Mhm.
back. Like, I don't want to use just like a buzzer. I can't on different people, because that's, it's not sterile to do
Right.
that on different people. I know we're not breaking the skin yet, but hair is weird. Hair carries
Yeah,
bacteria,
hair's gross.
so I like just having clean razors.
I mean,
But there is the
that's
option.
just
If
me.
you're a really hairy
hair's
person
gross.
and you're conscious of it, I assume you probably have some sort of trimmer. Bring it in. I'll trim you with your trimmer.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I've never asked anybody to bring
If
theirs
you're
in
really
with
hairy,
them,
if
but-
it's not necessary, it's not necessary. But I do feel like you might think about it. If you're really hairy, that's going to be something you think about before you jump into your tattoo. Like, oh yeah, I'm really hairy. This might affect this, tattoo. And also know that if you're really hairy like that, like the hairy Armenian dude that I was tattooing,
Mhm.
you don't even see the tattoo when his hair grows back. You know what I mean? Like, so if you're really hairy, like if you want your tattoo to show, you really kind of just have to keep shaving too. So almost get in like a regimen. If you want to see it and you want it to be shown, you kind of just have to shave it.
For the record, we are pro-Armenian as well.
We
They
are
just
pro-
happen to have
I'm
more
sorry,
coarse
no,
body hair.
oh, man, yeah,
They just
no.
happen to have more coarse body hair. Like, from that region of the world, the body hair is a little
And
bit more
I guess
coarse.
the only
It's
I'm
just-
sorry,
it's
the
just
only
a
reason I
thing.
even say that too is that he made such a point. He's like one of the only Armenian people I know,
Oh.
but he made it like a
proud
he was
to be Armenian.
proud to be a hairy Armenian. You know
I'm
what I mean?
seeing-
So he made a
I'm
point that
seeing your
like I'm
facial expressions
hairy
as you're-
because he's
you're-
Armenian.
You're impersonating him, so I know it's definitely not derogatory as we're calling him Armenian, but
In
he
no
was
way. In no
he
way.
was definitely proud from the gestures I'm getting. So
Yeah.
I want to throw that out there, like.
Yeah,
It's
I'm sorry. If it could have,
Please
if
be
that could have,
Armenian.
if that could have came off in any sort of way.
I mean, I don't think it necessarily did, but being Armenian doesn't have anything to do with anything.
He was
he just happened to be proud to
He
be
was
an
an awesome.
Armenian.
He was an awesome dude. So my impression of someone who might be Armenian, but he's also very American. So I mean, his ties to being Armenian are from America.
Fair. It's like me saying I'm Scottish and Irish and French, and we're what we are.
Right. Well, like that'd be me getting weird.
I'm
like
from
if you're
Earth.
talking about like German, Polish people and like Native Americans and stuff, I'll be like,
I mean, I have freckles. My eyes are blue. That's all I really know.
no, I'm just me here in the moment right now. Whatever this hyperdimensional being in existence right now is. I guess I'm in a body. I feel more like a brain controlling a body.
I
You know
keep
what I
thinking
mean?
about what is that app that you were playing
Like,
on yesterday in the VR when you were zooming through space?
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
still thinking about
Right.
that as we were like
Oh,
diving
that
into
sparked
the
so many thoughts for me.
neurological cells.
Something I was thinking about. We're gonna get. Yeah.
I'm kind of thinking of that as I'm looking through. Like, I'd love to take that journey through one of Alex Gray's paintings. As I'm looking at this tapestry,
Oh,
could you
man.
imagine? That'd be like,
Don't you feel like your skeleton's inside of you, right? But you're inside of your skeleton. You're your brain controlling your skeleton. You're controlling a skeleton exo mech suit.
don't know. I feel like it's my aura that's floating around that's really controlling everything.
Oh, just pulling you around.
Yeah, I think it's like the
Like-
energy in and around
like a
me.
like a
it's not
marionette.
necessarily inside. Like it's this radiant thing.
A higher soul being of yourself
Yeah.
radiating,
Yeah.
marionetting you through reality.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. I definitely believe in auras. You know, I believe
Yeah, I think
in.
it's more of that.
I'm gonna,
It's
and
that
I go.
energy cloud. It's like more like an electron cloud that is
I
my
go deeper
me.
into that for sure. But that's cool. I like that thought. I never really thought about that, but I feel like I can sense what you're pulling at
Mhm.
there.
I think that's why. Remember the other day I was talking about my shadow, how obsessed with my shadow I am.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might be why. Like, I think my shadow is really cool. Like the physical shape of my shadow when I walk in the sun.
Nice.
I like that. But I think it's because I imagine myself as like a ball of energy, like a ball of light that's tethered to a body.
Okay.
Like that ball is what controls the body.
Nice.
That's how I imagine it.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. See, that's I feel that. I feel that, but you know where I tie it to is I feel like that, you know, throughout of course the different chakras, but really it's just the electricity inside of you. I feel like the electricity
Mhm.
is that, and so the like your brain is the main electricity
And then
center.
when we get back to
feeding
electricity, we
everything.
start talking
So
about
recycling.
energy and wavelengths and light and color.
It's such a
See how
detailed
crazy it is?
circuitry,
all color. It's
energy
all
grid.
energy.
Works just like a computer, to be honest.
Mhm.
But it's just electricity. So you are your electricity. When people talk about prana and energy, really it's just like the subtle energy exchange between things. And data also. Data is energy. So when you transfer data to one person to another, even a word, you're saying a word to another word, just like you inputting a word onto a computer, you're inputting your own amount of data, amount of megabytes, gigabytes, you know,
Mhm.
whatever it is, to another person. And
Oh
so now
man,
they're taking
this
that
could
on.
lead to a totally different rabbit hole. This is the kind of stuff we need to talk about on the other podcast.
I can't wait. If you guys like this type of stuff, just wait. We'll get into it.
We're gonna start getting into this other it'll basically be everything other than tattoo related stuff.
We'll talk about
We'll talk about tattoo stuff.
anything. I don't really care. I mean, I don't know. I just want to let's have the outlet to be able to get into all this stuff. Like we're getting down into a rabbit hole, but you know how great it would be to really dive down this rabbit hole.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I do feel like people
We can keep this
they
our
like
morning
this.
show and then our nighttime show when we get really spaced out after working all day and our minds are racing from all the stuff we've learned from whatever. I think that's what we should do. We should do our nighttime recordings as the other, where we delve into all of these little rabbit holes we get into during the day.
Yeah,
We can stew on
I'm
them
ready
some
for it
more.
any time. I'd love
Yeah.
to start that one.
When we go, if I don't work too late tonight, maybe we can jump into it tonight.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, I hate to cut this short, but we're in the middle of a rabbit hole anyways.
It's 1:42.
I have a 2:00 appointment, and we live this
Close.
far away from work.
So Fawn's
I
got to
need to
go.
5 minutes ago.
So thank you guys for joining us.
Thanks for joining
again.
us. We will
Again
talk to you
and
soon.
again.
We're gonna definitely have Blade Amodio back on.
Bla-
Well, the
We
first
will
time
have
to
Blade.
you. We're gonna have
Blade,
Blade.
we're sorry. Your podcast was deleted, and I feel very guilty about it. But we have optimized the system, and we're ready to do it even better.
And then we will have Ben back on again sometime. He'll be regular. So
Ben, Blade, we love you guys. Thank you for coming on, and we're going to thank you for coming on
at
again.
least we smoked a whole bunch of blunts. It definitely wasn't a waste of time.
Yes. Yes. Well, guys, thank you.
All right, guys. Until next time.
All right.
Stay safe.
The Tattoo Collecting Podcast. Bye. Hello, welcome back to the Tattoo Collecting Podcast.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
This is episode number 4, is it, Fawn?
It should be episode number 6.
I know, I did a bad thing. So, in building this studio, I have overcome some technical difficulties time and time again. And so, my last
Hold on, let's rewind. So we were smoking the other morning, and I was like, why don't